The Fort Greene neighborhood is named after the American Revolutionary War fort that was built in 1776 under the supervision of General Nathaniel Greene. General Greene aided George Washington during the Battle of Long Island in 1776. Fort Greene Park, originally called Washington Park, is derived from General Greene's name and the neighborhood. Then, in 1864, Fort Greene Park was redesigned by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux. Furthermore, the park notably includes the Prison Ship Martyrs Monument, which honors over 11,500 patriots who died aboard British prison ships during the American Revolution. Fort Greene is also home to the mid-19th century Atlantean architecture, most of which is still well preserved. Lastly, the area has become famous for its long tree-lined streets and classy low-rise houses. One of the major attractions of the area, Fort Greene Park, clearly depicts the gentrification that has been gradually occurring in the Fort Greene for the last couple of decades. If you walk through the park in the morning, it is packed with new residents walking their dogs, and in the middle of the day, you can catch them even playing tennis. This clearly shows that a partial majority of the population of Fort Greene is now comprised of middle-class residents. Fort Greene in Brooklyn has been known since the 19th century for its low-rise human habitat, which is intimately scaled with tree-lined blocks of brownstones, brick row houses, and the occasional frame house. However, a lofty new habitat is emerging on the neighborhood's western edge, in which the area is undergoing the addition of more than 1,200 new apartments into something that is comparable to the high-rise design of the Lincoln Center. When discussing the population and the corresponding racial diversity of Fort Greene, the 2010 census first shows that the total population of Fort Greene, Brooklyn, is now well over an impressive 180,000. Surprisingly, the census shows that Fort Greene's black population has declined by a third since 2000. At that time, the population made up 65% of the population with 34,000 people, and now they only make up 47% with 23,000 residents. This decrease is much more extreme than the overall black population decline in Brooklyn of only 4%. In addition, the citywide black population has seen a recent decrease in their population by over 2%. On the other hand, New York City's population has grown by 2% in the last decade, according to the 2010 census. Meanwhile, Fort Greene has lost 4% of its residents. The population went down from 52,000 in 2000 all the way to 50,000 residents in 2010. No longer predominantly black, Fort Greene has become more demographically diverse than the census shows. Although the park was previously the location of drug activity and illegal behavior, it has now become rejuvenated by the influx of white middle-class individuals who now make up the majority of people who utilize the park for leisure activities such as having picnics and walking their dogs. Famous celebrity Spike Lee has made the argument that the park has completely changed because of the ongoing gentrification in Fort Greene. He gives this example of mothers strolling through the park with their children or pushing their babies in strollers in the morning and afternoon, and argues how this would have never been the case when he was growing up. Spike Lee argues that the majority of the activities occurring in Fort Greene Park prior to the recent gentrification were completely different than the activities seen in the park today, and depending on the time of the day, these activities in the park prior to the area's recent gentrification were even illegal in nature. Furthermore, the park was a common hangout spot for many working-class African-American residents living in the area at the time. On the other hand, now the white middle class is the majority population using Fort Greene Park for leisure the most. He goes on to compare the presence of countless Fort Greene residents walking their dogs in the morning to the Westminster Dog Show, which is one of the biggest and most reputable dog shows in the nation. Spike Lee's comparison to the Westminster Dog Show, which is hosted by the famous entertainment venue, Madison Square Garden in the heart of New York City, also has a predominantly white middle to upper class population living in the surrounding area. Consequently, Spike Lee's argument and comparisons draw numerous links to how the white middle class is gentrifying and beginning to take over the majority of population in the Fort Greene, Brooklyn.